Yeah. It's like we may be going live. Who knows? Maybe.
Maybe.
I know. It's like
there's like a very awkward silence at the beginning of this.
I know. It's just like it just kept doing like the spinny circle of death. That's what I call it. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
I've refreshed my page a couple of times and I can't see us. I just keep seeing my banner, reading, writing, and loving literature. So I don't know if we're live or not. I can't tell.
I can see us. I can see us.
You
yeah. So I think we're live. Fingers crossed.
I can't see us.
Oh, no. If anybody's here in the comments, comment away and let us know if you can see us. If not,
okay, we are there. I see us. I see you actually.
Yay!
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Starting off
strong. And then I see a comment. Yep, you're here. I'm like, yay! Thank goodness.
It's like we might be live, we might not be live. We don't know.
You know, whenever we do these things, it's hit or miss. You know.
Well, you mentioned this last time for the theme night live stream, but I just got the same pop-up saying Hangouts on Air is going away August 1st. For quick streaming, try youtube.com/webcam. So I don't know if this is one of those things where like they're making it difficult on purpose or they're trying to like make you be grateful that there's a new thing coming.
Right? I don't know.
I don't know. We're gonna have to see
obviously we have like webcams because we can, you know, see each other, but I don't know if it's like different software we have to download or what. Yeah. Difficulties. If it turns out to be too difficult, we can always do this on Instagram because we can do Instagram live. We've done that a couple times, so.
Oh, yes. Speaking of, I keep forgetting that I did this. So after tonight's live stream, I will finally hit publish on our Dragonbound Instagram live stream discussion because I archived that. I literally, y'all, I was trying so hard to be so good and be this little good booktuber. I put my phone down. I put my camera over angled on the phone. So technically you can see my phone in the shot, but it is archived. And I can post it if you guys want. This way, there's no gaps in our live stream discussions.
That would be awesome. You are wonderful for doing that.
Although I really am curious. So I basically just let the camera roll and let it go live. And so there's a very good chance you can hear Max on the hardwood floor in the background like twice with his little paws.
That's so funny.
Meanwhile, I'm trying so hard to be so quiet and, you know, typing lightly. And he's just, you know, I'm going to go after this toy. Peace out.
Go ahead. From me to you, I haven't done Google Hangouts, but the Hangouts was part of, is that Google Plus, G Plus, which is why they are taking it away, I believe. Interesting. Well, sure. Okay. I just hope it's not hard to, you know, learn how to do it a different way. It's probably not, you know, once you, like, just like, for me, before we did like the live stream with the Google Hangouts, it was all very like nerve-wracking because I'd never done it before. But now, you know, we've been doing this a year and a half, so it's like we're old hats at it. It's just like learning new things. I'm just like, I don't want to.
Yes, but like once you have something down and they want to change it, you're going, but I understand how this works right now. Right. Like, don't break it if it's not broken.
Right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Oh.
Tonight we're on a different bridge. We're on a different pathway.
Yeah. That beauty. So tonight we were talking about Transcendence by Shay Savage, and it is Angela's most beloved book. She loves this book so much, and I love it too. So this is going to just be a gush about, you know, Transcendence and Bay and Ed, and it's going to be a great night. So she's caressing the book, which is usually what I do when she's talking. I'm over here caressing the book, but I actually don't have a physical copy of this book, which is sad. So she'll just be caressing it for me.
I mean, there was no way I wasn't getting a physical copy of this book. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've been telling everyone how much I love this book for like 3 years. I'm pretty sure there's been a consistent amount of time where I just keep saying, read this book, read this book, read this book. And I seriously think everyone who likes romance should read this book. I've told the story before, but I just remember staying up until 4:30 in the morning. Like, I was not putting this book down for anything. And I was just so invested in this story, this relationship. And then when I finally finished the book, I am sobbing. Like, I'm crying hysterically. I'm getting emotional just talking about it. I'm starting to tears in my eyes. But like, I mean, it's one of those stories where it just pulls at your heartstrings. I mean, this book made me laugh. I mean, there was the chuckle laugh, then there was the full-on belly laugh where I laughed so hard I scared my dog. Then there was the little crying with the glistening tears. Then there was the full-on crying. I mean, this book just had it all. It was just, the writing is just so on point. The lines, I mean, there's very little dialogue in this book, but her writing style, I mean, she can write. I'm like, bow down. She did some magic with this book.
I know. I was actually rereading it at work today before, because I read it at the beginning of this year, but that was, many, many books ago. So I wanted to reread it, have it fresh in my head. And yeah, towards the end, I was like tearing up at work. I was like, come on, keep it together. Keep it together.
So, I mean, I've actually filmed, I'm going to be totally honest, I filmed 2 book review videos of this book, but I got too emotional while filming. I literally just started crying because the first time I started filming my book review was probably a couple days after I first read it. So this is when I first joined BookTube. This was probably going to be one of my first videos if I actually hit publish on it. But I just started crying. I'm like, I love Shea. Like, in the middle of the video, I just started crying because I wasn't removed enough from the story. And even now, like, I still get emotional talking about this book because it does that to you. And when I would try and film, I would just kind of pause and the tears were coming. So I'm really hoping I can hold it together tonight.
But yeah, what I love about this book is that I'm jumping to the end. So sorry if you haven't read it. I know, Kristen, you haven't read it, but
hey, welcome.
Hi, Kristen. How are you? Definitely going into some spoilers. This discussion is going to be spoiler filled. But what I really enjoy about this book is that you get their whole life, and like time goes by and they have all the kids, they go to a tribe that takes them in, and then they get old, their life goes on and they go back to the cave where they originally had their life. And like, she dies in his arms, and then he dies right after because they're just that connected. And then in the epilogue, you get from her point of view before she travels back in time. So it comes full circle, and I just love that so much.
Teary-eyed right now. I know. I'm getting emotional already. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
I know. It's like such a great way to do it because, you're emotional, you're with these characters, you've loved these characters for the whole book, and they die, and, and it's just right in the epilogue, you're just like, and it says many millennia later, and then it just shows Elizabeth going back in time, being in that, like the ditch, the hole that he dug, and looking up and seeing him, it like starts all over. And it's like, honestly, every single time that happens, it makes me just want to start the book back over again and read it again as soon as I finish it. It's just amazing. It's so, so good. And
I'm crying over here, and I'm wearing mascara. I'm like, keep talking, the camera's on me.
It's such a beautiful, bittersweet ending because that they lived a full life. They were happy, had children and a family, and oh, shit. I'm sorry, Angela. We're going to be a hot mess in this video, I'm telling you right now. But it's just such a beautiful way to end it, and how even at the end in the epilogue where, she's in the hole looking up at him, and then and even in the epilogue, the author says the end, ... or is it the beginning? And I'm just like, it makes me want to read it all over again. Oh, I should have got tissues too. I'm going
to be teary-eyed. I might as well go get them.
I was like, I'm over here glancing, like,
I get so emotional, because again, it's so beautiful. And usually you do get the snippet of a relationship. You usually don't get the entire duration from beginning to end. And the way it's handled is just so beautiful. I'm still getting emotional. My God. Like, we haven't even, this is 8:12. We haven't even gotten into this discussion. I'm already crying. This is going to be a long night. I'm going to be running by the end of this. This is a guarantee. But no, again, I think I really appreciate the fact she did that, because again, I was crying hysterically. The type of crying where you can't catch your breath, because I'm like, it's so beautiful. Like, that's literally what I was doing. And the dog's looking at me like, what is your problem? It is 4:30 in the morning, go to sleep. And like, that's what his eyes were telling me. And I love the fact that she kind of brought it back that way and giving it a happily ever after, because you don't end on the, you know, the death note, for a lack of better phrasing. You don't end with their deaths. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is how it ended, and now you're stopping there, and then I would just never stop crying. But she kind of brings it back to that hopeful, you know, it's the story, it happened, but now it's going to happen in this way. You know, it happened in his time, now it's happening in her time, in sort of way. I just love that. It kind of made it more positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree, because when I first read it, I was like, oh, it's their whole life. And then I'm like, oh no, like, they're dying. And then reading that epilogue, I'm like, oh goodness, thank goodness. You know, it's like, it's kind of starting all over again. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh, we have a couple new comments. The prehistoric lovers, Lady Gizmo. Yes. I mean, okay, let's, we started at the end, but let's get back.
We started with the most emotional point of the story. I'm over here with my little tissue, like, I'm wearing the winged eyeliner. I'm like, please don't run. Please don't run. This is going to be a interesting live stream. You guys chose a great night to come hang out.
Ambi is here. Hello. It's okay that you didn't read the book. We're just going to be talking about some spoilers, obviously, so if you don't mind that. Perfect. From Media saying how interesting ending-wise, because of the beginning of the relationship, it reminds me of The Time Traveler's Wife. Very similar, you know, kind of how, like, the beginning of her relationship with him isn't the same as his beginning. It's so very confusing. Like, time traveling can, you know, really mess with your brain. But I totally, totally agree with you. Or the story could remind you of Gerard Butler's in Time Travelers. I don't think I've seen that.
Timeline. I remember that one. Timeline.
Okay.
You've never seen this? It reminded me of that one too. Gerard Butler and Paul Walker and a group of other historians and archivists and archaeologists, they're working on site, and they get sent back in time. And before they're sent back in time, he sees this kind of it's kind of just a stacked. It's not their actual gravesite, but it's kind of in reference to the two lovers. And so you see the man and the woman with their hands linked, and he's missing an ear. And so he realizes, he's saying, oh, he's missing an ear. They did this intentionally. It's not broken. And then, spoiler, at the very end of the movie, he gets his ear chopped off, and he's so happy. He's going, it's me. I'm the one who this is based off of. He gets so excited. I'm like, you just lost your ear and you're happy. But he stays back in time, and they realize, oh, that's him. And so it kind of has that same future relationship, you know, one person from the future, one from the past. And you have that relic representing the relationship in the future.
It's called Timeline. I'll have to look it up, because yeah, I have not seen that. Ambi hasn't either. Never even heard of that movie. And it has Paul Walker in it and Gerard Butler. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking for that later tonight.
I've seen that. It has the guy who plays Lupin in Harry Potter too.
Okay, cool.
There are a lot of, you know, actors before they were well known in that movie.
That's awesome though. I like that though. Alrighty, so concept of this book is that it is told through N's point of view. N is the caveman who is living alone because there was a massive fire devastation on his tribe, and he's alone. And so he's been alone he doesn't even, like, obviously, like, years isn't really a concept that he knows, but he's been alone for a very long time. And he hears screaming, and so he goes to investigate, and it turns out that he finds a woman in a hole that he dug for to trap animals to feed himself. And so she looks very odd. She's wearing weird clothing. You know, she's speaking or she's making noises, I should say. She's making noises. And he doesn't understand what she's saying. And, but he's instantly, you know, attracted to her, you know, kind of like that whole caveman scenario where it's like, sees female, you're my mate. Yeah, let's do it. So
I think the part that, like, just jumping in for a second, going back, like, he is so devastated after the death of his tribe. I found a passage, and again, I've reread this book multiple times because this is my book. And he says, not for the first time, I consider just going back into my cave, lying down, and letting the hunger take me. I'm tired, cold, and alone. I'm not sure there's any reason for me to continue to work so hard just to keep myself alive. I mean, he is devastated. He's losing his will to live. And then he sees her, and she gives him hope. She gives him something to strive for and work towards. And there's just something so pure about that to me. I'm like, oh my, I'm getting emotional talking about this. But once he sees her, it's like, for him, that's really when things turn around. It's not as if he's living his life and all of a sudden she's there. I mean, like, she kind of makes him have a life.
I love that passage just because, and it's toward the beginning of it's like at the very beginning of the book. So he's just ready to give up, you know, right when, you know, this book is just beginning. And so she is literally his reason just to survive, and not only to survive for himself, but also to protect her. He doesn't really know this, but you know, as the reader, that she is a time traveler and she has come, you know, back in time from the future. And, you know, it's very hard to communicate with each other. He does not speak at all. Like, you know, there's no concept of the English language, not, you know, millennia ago. And so like their first interactions are just, you know, he just doesn't understand. It's so heartbreaking, but he tries so much. Like, why can't I, you know, get her to understand that I'm trying to protect her, that I'm trying to provide for her? Isn't that what she wants? You know, doesn't she want, you know, me to, you know, be her maid and to have a baby? And like, those are just concepts that are very almost basic, but also so very profound to Elizabeth, because she has no idea like what's happened to her, who he is, where she's at. And so he doesn't understand her struggle. She's not trying, like, she doesn't understand him. And the way that they come together, even though they don't speak the same language, is very beautiful, especially because there is hardly any dialogue in this book, and how Shay Savage tells this story. It's remarkable. It really, really is.
I think that's something that I always mention when I talk about this book, how it is probably 95% just narration. There's no dialogue. Maybe 5% of the book is dialogue. And it's so, to me, I love this because they have miscommunication, but it's not oral miscommunication. It's because they're trying to figure out like the physicality of everything. I mean, going back to when they first meet, he's realizing, hey, she's making a lot of noise. That's dangerous. And he puts his hand over her mouth to try and silence her, saying, you know, this is his way of saying, you're putting us in danger. Meanwhile, she's thinking, oh my God, he's abducting me. I mean, between the two of them, their miscommunications are just on such a different level, but you understand both of them. And so I think that's really great, because you're not like, oh, he's right and she's wrong. You're not taking sides, because both of them have their own point of views, and you can respect and relate to both of them.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Like in that situation with Elizabeth, just like, I don't even have to time travel. Just like being stranded out in the wilderness is terrifying. And if like you come across this stranger and, you know, this is happening to you, yeah, obviously you're going to be freaked out. You know, it's crazy, but you also get from his point of view, like, I'm trying to help us survive. You know, you making all this noise is going to attract attention. I need you to get back to the cave, but he can't explain that. And like you said, a lot of their miscommunications is because they're trying to figure out a way to communicate without actually speaking. So she tries to teach him some words like her name and his name sound. And, but that's really as far as they go. Like, he never really develops the English language throughout their whole life. And so the way that they create some sort of, you know, trust in that, because, you know, he was very handsy at first, and then, you know, like she bops him on the nose and it's like, no. And he's like, oh, like, did she just hit me on the nose? And then I'm just like, I put that on Twitter. I'm like, no means no, buddy.
But he respects that too. Again, you're thinking, oh, caveman, he's gonna go out, that story could have taken a totally different turn.
Right.
But he's so lovable and he's understanding and he gives her space. So I love him.
Exactly. He realizes though, like when she says that, or when she fights back, and he realizes very quickly that, oh, she doesn't want this. And so he doesn't want to force himself on her either, because it's more like he realizes that having a relationship with her is going to be more than just like mating, more than just having a baby. It's just having her, having a life, having something to live for. And so he doesn't force her, which, like the typical caveman, like you would think, like would force his woman, and like that other caveman that tries to abduct her by the stream, like totally like almost kidnapped her from Ed. I was like, oh no.
Oh, I remember when I first read that scene, I did not see that one coming, because I think I love this book because I don't like reading angst stories where, oh, if X wasn't there, then we could totally be together. It's like, hey, if Y was like this, then this. I mean, it's just a matter of them coming to terms with their situation and learning to interact with one another. And so when this external person came in, I'm going, okay, what direction and turn are we going here, Shay Savage? I was not putting that book down for the life of me. My building could have been on fire and I was gonna keep reading that scene. I was not putting that down.
I was surprised about this too, because it was just like, it was a second conflict. Because usually, like when you're reading a romance novel, there is some conflict, to bring the two closer together. And there was like in the kind of closer to the beginning, there was a conflict where she gets attacked by that boar. And so I was just like, oh, this is the conflict. Okay, this is gonna, solidify the relationship, gonna bring them together, kind of that kind of thing. And then this other thing happened. I was like, oh, there's two conflicts. Okay. And then she surprises you again when there's a third conflict, when their cute little baby, okay, spoiler alert, she has a baby.
Right now.
We're going for it. That their first baby, their daughter, gets sick. And obviously Elizabeth, she's lived in the modern world. She knows that there are, in her time, there's medicines, and she can't help her daughter. And then randomly, her dad finds a way to come and find her. Ed doesn't know what's going on. He's like, who is this man? Must be her father. Oh, he's trying to take my baby. Like, he's freaking out. And Elizabeth is saying, like, no, no. And he knows the no word. He knows that by now. But it's like, so there's another conflict. Like, their baby is sick, and her father actually takes her baby and is gone for her for years. They end up having another son, and he comes back, and it's like, but she's still a baby. And it's so like,
I think it was like only a week or two had passed his time, but I think 3 years passed their time.
Yeah. And that's just so like, that was so nuts. Like, to begin with, like when he came back and like he brought back Law, I was like, oh my gosh, the baby's back. And wait, she's still a baby. I didn't understand until you read Luff's, which is from her point of view, that, it's like, it's hard for her father was saying, like, it's hard for him, like for the science to pinpoint a certain time. So that happens.
Well, I mean, so my favorite thing about the father going back in time and having the ability to take the daughter shows that if they wanted to, Elizabeth, if she wanted to leave, she could. And unless you find out that she does make this decision to stay with him, she is not leaving him. She loves him. She doesn't want him to be alone, and she wants to build her life with him. And I love that fact that she's willing to kind of give up the modern world and, I mean, the luxuries of having food delivered, not having to go hunting, having a different type of house instead of a cave. I mean, she gives that all up to stay behind with him. I mean, that's true love.
Yeah, she gives up indoor plumbing for her caveman in her little cave and her family. She most definitely had the opportunity to go back with her father and her baby, and she doesn't. She stays with him. And
yeah, unless you get her to elaborate on that. But I realized when he brought when he took the daughter, I'm going, wait, he can take, and she can
take people.
She's not just going with the daughter with him. She's giving the child up, because in my head I'm thinking, oh, she's the mom. Is she going to want to go? And so the fact that she stays behind and entrusts her child to him, and I realized she could leave, but she's not. I just remember I'm going, I have to keep reading.
I know, right? Lady Gizmo in simple things like a comb, soap, and mouthwash. I really like that she tried her best to help him, and she was very knowledgeable. Her parents, were like not archaeologists, anthropologists. I was like, not archaeologist, but so she had some she had some knowledge. She was making those plates and the bowls and the cups out of clay near the river, and then she was also using the mint leaves to like clean her mouth, and she was in like the stick to comb her hair, and she was doing the same thing for him. Like, not only was he caring and protecting her, she was also doing what she could for him as well, even though he didn't really understand, because it wasn't any of the luxuries that, he'd ever even thought of doing. But, when she was like trying to clean his teeth, and, she was like, I might as well do it because it makes her happy. So he just stood there while she like cleaned his teeth.
Oh, I love it, because you realize very quickly how much he wants to make her happy, because
Yes.
she wants him to take a bath, and he's going, why are you in the cold water? It's cold in this river. Get out of there. She's going, no, I got to bathe. And then when she wants to do kind of laundry, he figures out, okay, I'll help her carry the stuff down to the stream. Like, he starts to realize how to help her, but at the same time, she's doing things for both of their benefit, because, again, there were a couple scenes where I'm like, oh, she's concerned about germs, or oh, she's concerned about this. Meanwhile, he's going, that's weird. What's she doing?
He should have counted in the book how many times where he's like, my mate is strange.
He's like, but I kind of love that he says that, because it's not as if, oh, she's strange. What's she doing? She's weird. I don't like this. He goes, oh, this is different, but it doesn't deter him or detract him or take away from the relationship at all. He doesn't think, oh, she's strange, she's being, absurd, I have to interfere. He kind of lets her do her own thing. And for some reason, I really like that.
I do too. Absolutely. Because you can tell, like, yes, he's a caveman, but he's not like the typical caveman where he's overbearing and forces her to do things she doesn't want to do, or makes her do things the way he wants and the way he was raised. He sees these things that she's doing, and it's like, oh, if it makes her happy, I might as well help her and do it, because she's obviously not going to get back to the things we need to be doing if she doesn't do it her way. So it ends up being a thing where he's learning from her, she's learning from him, but also they're doing things to make each other happy. And Lady Gizmo, she's bringing up a very good point where Ed makes her the comb, like out of, he's like, I have to make her like me. That's the thing. Like, he thought that was the key to having her mate with him, is like, I have to make her like me. It's like, oh my gosh, what a bizarre concept.
Because again, this whole breakdown of his expectations versus her expectations, there's this moment when he brings her firewood, and he's going, look, I brought wood. I'm so happy I have wood here for you to have with the fire. And she's not interested in the wood at all. She's just like, yeah, it's wood, okay? I mean, she's not paying attention to the wood. But meanwhile, he's going, look, we can have a fire. So their standards are so different.
Oh my gosh, I tweeted a quote about that. It was so funny. Where he's basically like showing off, like, she's like, I have to impress her, so he's like, we're outside of the cave, so I'll just show her out here. And then he like motions to the stack of wood that he has, and he was just like, she should be impressed with this. Look at this big stack of wood. And he's like, oh, not very impressive. It was so funny.
He's so excited. He's going, I have this fur. This is the nicest fur. This is the best one that I have. And she's looking at the, animal fur, and she's going, in her head, she's thinking, this is animal fur. She's not looking at it going, hey, this took a lot of time and effort. So the way he's viewing things versus the way she's seeing them. But again, this is why I think it's so brilliant, is because you understand both of them. And I almost feel as if, from a writerly perspective, I just gotta like give her credit for this, because in a way, not only do you not have the male point of view in a lot of romance novels, but I feel as if the book needed to be told from his perspective, because the reader just will automatically relate to Bay because of the modern mentality. So by having it be his perspective, you understand, his point of view and what's going on in that way. So you understand her naturally, but by having him be the narrator, it just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So the quote was, since we were already outside the cave, I start by showing her my impressive collection of wood. And I'm like, dating was so much simpler back then. It was so funny. Lady Gizmo saying, I like how she makes him different types of soups with the things she finds in the forest. Yes! Like, let's, he would get the meat and he would dress the kill and he would put it over the fire and just eat the meat, or he dried meat or something like that. He would never really, he even said like something about the wild onions that grew by the river. He never really knew how to cook those. His mom did, but he didn't remember. And so when she comes and she makes her pot with the clay, with the lid, she was able to make like stew. And like, yeah, she makes up different types of soup. And he was really grateful for that. He would eat it and he was like, this is really delicious. And then he showed his appreciation by lifting her up and giving her a hug and a kiss. And I just thought that was really sweet. And like he is so impressed by her skills that that is just amazing. She boils the water so he wouldn't have to bathe in cold water, and then he realizes like, oh, this is actually really nice. She uses her old leggings that are all tore up and stuff as like a washcloth, and dips it in the warm water and gives him a bath. And he was like, oh, this is okay. I don't like the cold water, but the warm water is nice. Yeah, and he was so impressed by her skills. Like he was grateful that she was taking the initiative to make their lives kind of better. And he realized that even though, yes, he was alone, he didn't have a tribe, it was more than surviving, because living is different from surviving. Like back before he had Elizabeth, he was definitely just surviving. He was living, day to day, one kill to the next, that was his meal. That was, how he was surviving. But with Elizabeth, she was showing him that he could actually have a life. And I just thought that was just so beautiful.
I found it because I found that exact scene because I love the next part of it, because before he would call it the cave, his cave. After she takes care of him and they go, she does wash him down and she wets the corner, she washes his forehead and everything. And you flip forward a few pages, he goes, our cave. It's the first time he refers to the cave as our cave after she did that. So I love, again, how it ties back in.
Yeah.
So cute.
So sweet. There were just so many parts of this book that I loved, and just the dynamic between those two was just wonderful. It was really, I could just relate to Elizabeth so much, even though, yeah, it's a time travel and you're like millennia ago, living off the grid, doing everything you can to survive. But I could still, like the way Shay Savage wrote it, I could still relate to Elizabeth. Like, yeah, I would be terrified in this situation. And even just thinking like, okay, like what would I do? Like, how would I survive in this situation? And I was like, I can't hunt. I can't run. I can't make fire. I can't do any of that stuff. So it's like, the fact that, they were able to, come together and create some semblance of a life, in this, and the fact that, she decides not to go back when she had an opportunity, it just shows like how strong their love was. And I love when she teaches him, like their names, of course, but also she was teaching him like kiss. And my favorite scene is when he does learn to use the word kiss and understand what it means. And he was like, this is my favorite word. I really love this word. I use it a lot. I was just like, oh my God, you're so cute. Stop it.
I have to admit, I read this before I read Outlander, and I just remember thinking how Claire, with all of her expertise with medicine and being a botanist is her hobby. I mean, when she went back in time, she was okay. I mean, she figured out very quickly, oh, you can eat this, you can't eat that. She knew stuff. Right. And then I was like, I had been impressed going, oh, she knows how to make plates. I was impressed by that factor, because there's a scene where she's molding the clay into shapes, and I'm going, I probably wouldn't have even thought of that.
Me neither. And like the fact that, she could, I mean, you can differentiate between clay and mud, but it's just like the fact that she was able to do that and look like, oh, this would like help be held together. And, she actually made, plates and cups, and not even like just a bowl and a lid. I took I took art class in middle school, and we had a pottery like week that was just devastation, you know, like with like with the clay and even the spinny wheel thing. I couldn't make a round bowl to save my life, people. And she made this like with her hands. I'm like, bow down. Like anything you can do to make your life easier and survive is impressive in this situation. It's amazing. And the way she figured out after her little run in with the other caveman, and when she was dropped, she like got knocked on the head and she was out for like 3 days. And Ed was terrified. He was thinking that she was never going to wake up and that she was dead. And he was just so sad. I was so sad at this point too. And I was like, oh my God, you think she's not going to wake up? I was like, I hope she wakes up. We still have like half of the book to go through. But he was so sad that he was just going to curl up and die next to her. He let the fire go out. And so when she finally wakes up, he realizes like, oh no, I failed her. I need to get this fire going. Like sometimes with nothing but 2 sticks to rub together, starting a fire like that can take days. Like honestly, you have to have like so much strength and you have to like be diligent. And I couldn't do it. Honestly, I'm telling you people, I could not do it. But then she realizes what he's doing. And when she see the spark, she realized like, oh, I have the button from my jeans. And like, she just thinks she in the situation, she thinks like, oh, that's a great idea. And she uses the situation and the things that she has to their advantage. Like, okay, you have a flint knife and then I have this metal. It's going to create a spark. And I was like, I would never, in that situation, I would never in a million years think of that. I'm telling you right now, I would never think of that.
I was so impressed with realizing she could do the spark with just the button. I was, again, clear with Outlander. She's on a whole other level. Meanwhile, I was like so impressed with this girl and her plates and her button ability. Again, my hands would have been raw from rubbing the 2 sticks together. It would not have happened.
I would be like, I'd be sitting there. I'd be like, okay, I've seen this on Discovery Channel. I know if you rub sticks together, you get fire. But like, when does it happen? Like, I wouldn't be able to think like that. And it's amazing that, that she could do that. And honestly, yeah, Claire is on a whole nother level. She is brilliant. She's like a war nurse. Like you said, she does botany as a hobby. Like,
but that's what I mean. Like, again, I'm like, normal people wouldn't know what plants would be okay and which ones wouldn't be okay, which is why, as a normal human being who's not studying plants in her free time, I'm going, oh, she made plates. Oh, she figured out how to make a spark happen. I mean, to me, I still think that is, up in the ante for survival skills.
Which is why, like, Claire goes back in time, so you have the Outlander series. If that literally happened to anybody else, like if Nicole goes back in time, we would not have the Outlander series. I'm telling you right now.
It would just be like a chapter, because I wouldn't have even gotten past the Redcoats in like the first scene when she goes back in the past.
I know, like when she meets like quote unquote Frank, and she's like, "Oh, you're not Frank." I would have been captured, raped, and killed at that point. Like so sorry.
It would have even been a book. It would have been a novella. Yeah.
Right, like, well, she tried her best, and now we're moving on. Kristen saying I could barely survive Phoenix heat. I'm not sure I'd survive a cave. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's hot in Phoenix right now. Pray for your Phoenix, Arizona friends. We're not doing okay. For me to you, like, yeah, I would die. Honestly, like, I would like to think that I watch enough Discovery Channel where I could survive stuff, but
you're on Discovery Channel. I'm watching the Great British Baking Show. Okay, I would not last.
I don't even watch the Discovery Channel like for myself. I watch it because my husband watches it, and I'm listening to it in the background. Like, I'm not even actively watching it. I would die.
I mean, I also don't eat meat, so I think there would also be that element where you're getting just. Yeah, I'd be a fun person to stick back in the thing.
Oh gosh, yeah, like being a vegetarian, like I couldn't even. I would try to like eat some plants, and they would turn out to be poisonous and die.
Again, I was like, this is why she's so impressive to me, ladies and gentlemen. This is why she is. He's the hero, but she's like her heroine in her own right. She also kind of realizes very quickly. I mean, yes, she cries. She's upset. I mean, what normal person wouldn't be upset when you realize, hey, no electricity, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then with it, she doesn't, hold her back. Meanwhile, I probably would be huddled in a ball going, okay, I'm going to wait the next X amount of years, hoping that electricity gets developed sooner. I mean, she at least pushes forward.
That electricity gets invented.
I mean, I would just be hanging out going, like, hopefully something will happen now. I mean.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
Too, like, even if you know who invented stuff, you yourself don't understand computers. Like, I know 0101, but I can't make a computer. Like, even if I know so, I don't know how to be practical in that nature.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm glad.
Oh gosh. I know, I was like, oh, my desk scare is running.
You need, as soon as you started talking about the ending, I'm like, I need them crying.
Oh,
for this live stream. Shouldn't have done it. Oh, yeah. Homes. I wouldn't have all the pictures of my little puppy.
Wouldn't have a Kindle or a library.
Well, that's too. This is my other thing with her. So she doesn't pack a little survival bag of, oh, let me bring, a matchstick. Let me bring that. She has nothing. It's not as if, because in Timeline, they know they're going back, so they try and prepare themselves with their outfits, and they try and at least know what's going on timeline-wise. They try and figure out, okay, let's go stay at this area. She doesn't know she's going back in time. So she just had what's on her person, and that's it. I mean, if I were to get sent back in time at this moment, I would be in sweatpants and just my shirt. Like, I mean, come on. I would have no shoes on right now. This wouldn't go well.
So true. So true.
No, I mean, because that's the thing. She doesn't realize she's going to get sent back, so it's just her in that moment. I mean, if you were sent back in the moment, I mean, come on, you're not prepared.
I'm not prepared at all. Like, I'm in scrub bottoms. Again, I have no shoes either. Yeah, it'd be terrible. I would step on something.
You have earrings. You could do something with those. You can poke someone if they add up, but not, you couldn't kill it. I don't know. This is why I would die very quick.
Age-old question, what book would you bring to a deserted island? Or
this is the book.
Yeah.
I love this book so much. I've read it probably 5 or 6 times at least. And every single time I get emotional at the same parts too. You'd think I would know, oh, this is coming, but I still have that emotional response each and every time.
Yeah.
What is your desert island book?
It would have to be, if I couldn't bring Harry Potter, it would be Archer's Voice.
True. I'm like, that is true.
Yep.
Maybe we could, don't we usually get 3 books? I mean, for me, it would be Transcendence, Archer's Voice, and Pride and Prejudice. So, I mean, usually, like, when you do the thing, they're like, oh, what are the 3s you would bring? Or what are the, so those are my 3.
It'd be Archer's Voice, Pride and Prejudice, Indigo by Beverly Jenkins.
I'll give you that one. That's a good one. And then make mud pies in that one, so you can figure out how to make mud pies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would just.
But then again, now that I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, this is why we would die, because we're not going, oh, we wouldn't bring a book on like how to go camping. We wouldn't bring a book on like how to build fires. We would bring like romance novels. As we're saying our books, I'm like, it might be more useful, like how to build a canoe, how to build a boat, how to survive in the wild.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's bring romance novels.
Well, we don't think outside the box, like thinking like how to way to get off the island. It's like, no, this is our lot. We're stuck on this deserted island. Let's bring something to entertain us. Oh God.
Yeah, every one of us right now. We're just like, yeah, we're getting cozy. It's a Tuesday night. We're talking romance. So we do. Even if we're gonna be on a time.
I not pop up.
Well, it's a desert island. You'd get lonely. Yeah, we'd be Ed in this scenario where we'd be wanting our like a mate. My mate would be this book with my book boyfriend. So.
Yeah. Oh no.
Although now I have to go figure out like if there are books on surviving in the wild, just for future reference.
Did Bear Grylls ever write a book? I'm pretty sure like he knows how to survive.
Have you ever seen The Office?
I've seen a few episodes, yeah.
I just remembered there's a thing about this in the show. I just remembered this because we're talking about this. Dwight, he says he says, yeah, I'd bring a book, and then carved out of the book would be a knife in the book. He thinks he would hide in the book. Like he would cut out the parts out of the book and use it. And then Angela, again, there's an Angela on the show. She wants to bring the Da Vinci Code to burn it. So she would have something to burn on the island. So we really start thinking this through and getting analytical.
Yeah. It is the age-old question where you're just thinking like, oh, like what would I do on a deserted island? What would I bring with me? Robinson Crusoe, yeah, that'll show you how to survive. Oh goodness.
Friday. And the thing is, he's like, I'm on a Friday. And I'm going, how do you know it's a Friday? Does anyone else remember this? He has the friend he finds. It's like, oh, I found him on a Friday, therefore I named him Friday. But I've always wondered how he knew it was a Friday. Just throw that out there for future reference. If you guys know why he knew it, anyway. Welcome back to Transcendence for more passages.
Right.
Oh, okay. One of my favorite scenes, which made me cry the first time. So there's a moment when he says, he goes, she said 3 things, made 3 sounds right in a row, and you know she said, I love you. And that one, my heart, floor, crying. He realizes 3 little words, and you know it's the words, I love you, and my heart, as she's responding off camera.
I was just like I was just shot. I was like, oh God, yes. What do you make of the black container with a vial of blood? We know Bay's father took Law and brought her back, so he knows she's there. So why did he write in the journal related to me?
Oh, okay. So at the very end, now, well, I mean, it kind of comes out eventually because again, we're getting the story from his perspective, and so in the epilogue, you find out that the reason Bay's father is looking into this site is because he knows DNA-wise that there's a relation. So when the DNA went through the system, it said, you know, this person's a relative, and he's thinking, oh, I've been, you know, this is my ancestral home. This is where I come from, and then actually you realize it's his daughter.
Yeah.
And your heart is going, oh my gosh. And because, you know, she's on display and with her, you know, with her hands and the father does it. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional talking about this. No, but yeah, so because again, they have they have the bones, they have ways to extract DNA. So that I realized that there was a relation DNA wise.
Yeah, you mean in the epilogue where, you know, there was like this article where it was just like they were doubting that it was really, you know, from millennia of the button. Then you realize it was the button that was on her genes, and then, you know, like related to me because like it is her body, but she hasn't gone back in time yet. And it's just like, that's why time travel can really freak you out, because it's like if you just have like a basic understanding of like the theory of relativity, it's just nuts.
Well, I also, again, I think Shay Savage is a brilliant writer because she had the details when Bay is in the museum and she's like, well, Elizabeth this time, because we call her Bay. She's in the museum and she's going, oh, I learned to make those pots at summer camp. Oh, I learned how to do that when I was in this class. And then when she sees the button, she goes, oh, that's the same type of button for my genes. And it's worked into her narration going, you know, people think that this kind of place is a lie, thinking, oh, this button could never have been there because it's modern. And here's this historical. People are doubting that fact that it was aged that way. They thought there was an error in the labs and stuff. And so she kind of makes a mental note of, oh, yeah, it does look just like my button. And so you get the details. It's not just her going through the museum. You understand things from active and those deep, so great.
And then what I really like is when you read Luff's is like the novella through her point of view. It's the same story through Elizabeth's point of view. You get like in certain scenarios where she realizes like, oh, that's like I made those pots. Oh, that's my button. That's the one that came off. And it's like you get those realizations from Elizabeth's point of view.
I mean, Luff's is a novella. It's not full length, and it's not as detailed, but it does give you those moments with more context. Mm-hmm. And again, with the father, there is a scene when he offers to bring her back home, and she's going, "No, he's all alone. He's by himself. I'm not leaving him." My heart was melting. I was crying. I was emotional wreck when I read that. I was going, she's staying for him, because I knew that from reading his, but hearing her say that to her father, choosing him over everything else, again, it was beautiful. I understood it from his book and his perspective, but from hers, it was still great to just read that. You're not.
I know. I was just like, yes, it's so beautiful. I love them so much. My shipper heart.
See, that's the thing. When people are talking about book boyfriend stuff, I don't mention him because I can't picture him without her. Because those two in my head, they just belong to one another. When people say book boyfriends, like Archer could be mine. I mean, I like anyone. You think I could put him with anybody happy? Meanwhile, I think him and Bae belong together. There's just something about them as a couple that I just can't break apart in my mind. So that's why he's not a book boyfriend, because I think he belongs with her.
I totally agree with that. Everything that you're saying, yes, 100%. Like, I can't picture him with anybody else because him and Bae belong together. And of course, like it happened millennia ago. So they lived their life, you know, they had so many children. They had like so many children, and their life was so full and just blessed. And they lived like just that full, happy life. And just thinking about the ending is, oh my gosh, tearing up for a different reason now from laughing. But oh gosh, yeah, that ending is just like, you can totally tell that it's coming though too, because you get their full life story, and then you get to that end where he carries her and like takes her back to their cave. And sorry, I'm just like thinking about it, but yeah, it's just so beautiful.
Like tissue through the webcam if this was possible. I'm like, yes, send her way.
I should have thought I have like a paper towel over here, but yeah, that's just so beautiful, because you don't get romance novels like that. Like you said in the beginning, you just get like a snippet of their life. Like this book, you get the whole thing. And then with that epilogue, it starts all over. That is my favorite part of the book, is that when you finally do read that ending scene and you're so sad because you've gone on this journey with them and you've loved them so much, and then you're sad when they do eventually, like they do die, and then you get that epilogue and it starts all over. And I'm just like, that is the best part of the book, and it's just so beautifully written. Like that is what makes it a 5-star book. It's gorgeous. And I'm like crying. I'm like, so sorry. I'm bawling over here. Like, but
no, because so many books will do that happy for now ending. I feel as if now sort of this trend, or this kind of, you're more likely to do that happy for now ending of, oh, they've said I love you and the book is closed, or something where they've just had their kids and you see them like almost in the future but not in the end of their lives. And so the fact that you get to the very end and you see them together on, you know, their deathbeds, as I'm crying, as I'm getting emotional, you get that, and you're going, you know, from you get their meeting to the very end. But again, that epilogue, it gives you hope. So you're not ending on the death scene. So, yeah, everything you just said.
Yeah. And then Lady Gizmo, after reading the epilogue, would you agree that Bae named her first baby Law after her best friend Sheila? And yes, absolutely, because you can tell when she's trying to pronounce the name to him, like they have the SH like sh in the front, and then, you know, Law, which is what they ended up with, because he even says like, why does she have to make these sounds so complicated? And then when she finally was like, la, and she's like, la, that's better. Yes. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Lady Gizmo. Yes.
Oh yeah, no. I remember when the first time I read that, again, the details, that's why this is a 5+ for me. Because again, she realizes, oh, I made those pots. Oh, my button. You're not just kind of getting something in passing. You realize, hey, wait a second, it's all coming to the forefront. And I remember when I read that, I'm going, oh my gosh, she named her daughter. You're never gonna know it. And I was sad about that. And oh, you probably would have been the godmother. I mean, I love the fact she named the baby Sheila or La or after Sheila. I just, yeah. I realized that. I'm going, shit, you know how to pull my heartstrings.
You know how to tie everything together.
I mean, that's why I think this book is just so far above the normal to me of just anything. And this is why when people are like, oh, it's a romance novel, I'm like, go read this book. It is not just a romance novel. Don't you dare say that. Because this book is so well written, details, the way that everything ties together. I mean, you can tell there was so much thought and research put into this. I just really appreciate this book. I do.
I do too. It'll stay forever in just the annals of history.
Do you see she's like, I need to read this book now. I'm like, yes, you do.
Yes, read the book. Yes. It's wonderful. Hello, how are you? We're talking about Transcendence.
We're getting emotional, really.
I know, it's like we've already cried like 3 times.
Love. So. I mean, when I ever realized, and then at the very end when he says kiss, oh my god, my heart.
Kristen, I'm on a no buy till miraculously find a job. Yeah, honestly, if I can get it at the library, like great. But sometimes you just have to buy those books, and like this is one of those books where you just have to buy it. You have to have a copy of it. I want to cry too. Yeah, these like there, certain scenes like that epilogue and like the last chapter in the epilogue have tissues because we're crying just talking about it. But also that scene where she got knocked out and she didn't wake up for a couple days, and just Ed is just devastated and he doesn't know what to do. I was bawling.
There's so many scenes though, and it's not as if you're kind of, I feel as if a lot of books will do this thing where you got kind of steady emotions, you're reading and then something will happen, and then you're steady and then something will happen. I mean, this one was kind of up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, I was never not feeling something. I mean, because even then there's a moment, they can't speak verbally, there's no oral communication, and so realizes she's pregnant, he puts his chin on her head, and I love the physicality of how they're interacting with one another because it's just so sweet. And she places his hand on her stomach, and eventually he realizes, and he's going, I finally put my baby in her. We're finally gonna have a child. He has such joy, and then as the reader, I'm excited. I'm smiling. I'm happy for that. So like, yes, there's tears, but there's also moments of pure joy as well. Just want to throw that in there so that if you think that we're just crying, there's also happy moments.
There's happy moments. Promise. And Latasha's Book World is asking, is it on Kindle Unlimited? I don't know, but it is $4.99 on Kindle. Oh, my dog's barking.
Honestly, this is something I just want to throw out there. This is self-published. Just want to throw that out there. This is a self-published book. And every so often when people will put down self-publishing, or there's kind of a stigma is lessened around self-publishing in the recent years, but everyone at first, not everyone, but there was this widespread mentality of, oh, if something's self-published, maybe it's not as well edited, or it's not up to the high standard of literature or writing. I mean, there are still some people who have that mentality. I think that, again, is lessened in recent years, but not always. Self-published book that, again, is on my forever list. This is self-published, and it's pure brilliance. And so I don't know if it's in Kindle Unlimited, but yeah, I mean, she's nodding. I don't know what's going on over there.
my dogs are barking, so sorry. But Kristen is saying that it's not on Kindle Unlimited. Thank you for looking into that. Latasha's like, oh, okay, I'm still going to get it. Yes, that's awesome. I love it. And love reading indie authors.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, again, I bought the physical copy after I fell in love with this book. I read the book and then I was like, mine now, I'm never letting you go. So, I mean, I think the physical copy is a little bit more expensive than the usual book because it's self-published. So yeah, I mean, ebooks are great. Ebooks are a wonderful option. So I mean, you can do no wrong with getting an ebook. Just like the physical copy is more expensive, I'm pretty sure. So ebooks are a great option if you're looking to save some money on that. Just saying.
And since it is an indie author, we will probably be discussing it more on our theme night on the 16th.
Yes,
Just
over on your
throw that
channel. And that will be on Nicole's channel.
Over here.
Yeah, I mean, $15 for a book. I mean, because usually after a certain number of years or whatever, you know, you'll have original sell price and then everything will kind of get deducted to try and make a profit on something that might be a little older. So then things will go down. You know how it works in the publishing industry. But it's always consistently, I think, that number. It might have even been 17 or 18 at one time. So that even might be a little less.
It's also trade paperback. It's not mass market. So it's a little bit, you know, trade paperback is a little bit more expensive than mass market.
But I think it's worth the money if you want the physical copy of this book. I mean, honestly, I would have an entire shelf just of this book for some reason. I don't know why. I would just be like, yes, that is the Transcendence shelf. She's one of those authors. I haven't met her yet, but I would love to meet Shay Savage. I would love to meet her. Oh, I would just
at all the romance conventions, you have not met her?
Nope.
Does she come to romance conventions?
She's gonna be at the one romance event this year that I am going to. She's gonna be at Book Bonanza in August. I think it's Book Bonanza. It's in August, or I'm pretty sure the last week in August. Book Bonanza. The one event she's going to this year is the one that I'm not going to. To say I am upset is an understatement. I love her so much.
Where does Book Bonanza take place?
I think it's in Texas this year. Might be. I can look it up. I saw her name on the list, and I had this moment of, you've got to be kidding me. Like really? I did all this traveling. I went to all these events, and then this book that I, you know, I'm telling everyone I've been loving and I mean, how many times have I told you about this book? I mean, this number is astronomical. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I reference this book. And then
2 or 3 times a week since I've met you.
And then she's at the one event that I mean, there are other events I haven't gone to, but one of like the major events. Mm-hmm. And so I was a little disappointed in that. Like, Shane said to do something to make this up to me. You got to go to another event closer to DC, please. The Polycon next year.
Yeah, if it's Texas, I could technically drive there.
Shameless is in Florida. I knew that. Yeah. Shameless, I think, is always in Florida, though. I think that's a consistent location for them. So if you live in Florida, it will be held there again in 2021, 2019, 2021. So hopefully we'll always be there for, you know, consistently if you want to go back. Yeah, he's a gentleman. The comment.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the comment. I found him to be yes, he is very gentle. He got angry when he had to protect her from the boar and the older guy. That's a natural response. Absolutely. And then when he really wanted, you know, to basically, you know, get physical with Elizabeth and she kept saying no, he respected her, but he did feel that frustration and he did get mad, but he still respected that and, you know, found out that he wanted to make her happy more than he wanted that physical relation. Yes. I loved it. Consent is sexy.
What was the book you said the consent is so sexy in this? You're reading a book and you're going, the consent is so sexy.
Let me, hold on. That was probably like 15 bucks ago. Let me look back at our messages because,
I mean, so again, you guys, this book, this is one of the reasons why I get away with talking much, is it has all these different elements. We have the supernatural, we have you know, him being kind of beta, but also alpha. I mean, there's so many things that I can find to talk about this book. And I remember one of the times that I referenced it was first loves, because they're both each other's first loves. I mean, your heart. You're nodding. She's I don't know what you have her. She looks happy.
I agree with 100% of what you're saying, but the book that I was DMing you about the consent being like so sexy was Night Chasing by Amanda Bishop. That was the book that you sent me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I loved it. It was wonderful.
Yes, and the consent is sexy in this one as well, hopefully.
the consent is always sexy.
Trying to think, I'm like, what else did I make note of? I just love their interactions. There's these moments where like, at least you didn't throw this at me this time. I mean, their communication, it's kind of adorable.
I love in some parts too where he was like cringing and hiding. He was like waiting to hear the no sound. He was like a trained puppy. It was so funny.
Well, even he's just so thoughtful too. I found one of the other things I highlighted. So he wasn't doing this. I kind of don't know what he was doing. I guess pillows were a new invention at some point in time because he didn't realize the concept of pillows. She rolled up one of the furs to put under her head, and he's going, that was one of the she's strange moments. And then after she has the baby and the baby's crying and, you know, she feeds the baby, she's really tired, he makes the pillow under her head for her. So the small little gentle gestures he got there.
Just the little things like that. Swooty.
Fictional men for the win.
For sure. Especially
this one. He wins. I mean, after they have a child, there's a line. Oh, here it is. I watch and awe at the pair of them and wonder if there is any way I can meet Eddie's I watch and awe at the pair of them as I try and read with my progressives and wonder if there is any possible way for me to be happier than at this very moment in time. Oh. Like, I mean, she's striving for the corner office or something with some of these books where, you know, they need so many things to feel complete. Like, she's it. His family's it. And there's just something so romantic about that just makes me sad.
Yeah. Like men with babies, like that really gets me.
Well, even then he has this moment where she's going, she has a name sound. He was so happy when they named the child. Again, he's so invested in this baby and I mean, it's because he loves his mate, but then it's also, you know, I want to see a baby that looks like both of us. Oh, will this baby have her eyes? The way he relates it back is just beautiful. It's perfect.
It's just this book is perfect. There's just where it was just their relationship. Again, like I can't speak enough about their dynamic because how they made it work, even though they couldn't verbally communicate with each other. It's one of the things about this book that I love. Loves. At the beginning, Ed complains about the noise. But toward the end, after he and Bay and his family says they can make all the noise they want as long as we all stay together. Yes. And also another one that I really loved was that it was after she like gets hit on the head and she's like passed out for a couple days. How many times I've been annoyed with her strange sounds, wishing her to be silent like she is now. My chest clenches again. Finally, I realize I would give anything to hear my mate's sounds again. That, oh my God, that gets me because the things that, you know, often annoy us or something like that, you know, turns out to be the things that we miss most about them, especially in these types of situations. And I just thought that was just so sweet, and especially when her daughter was born. Like he was saying that she makes more noises than Bay does. I'm just like, oh, I was dying laughing. It's so funny.
I think he refers. He's like, I didn't realize our children have some of her oddities. He refers going, I didn't realize they would have that, but now I do. Like he didn't anticipate the baby making as much noise as the mother. But I mean, when it's taken away, his heartbreak. Oh, he loves his daughter so much. He's crying. He's devastated. And there's a moment. I don't remember where it is. Oh, here it is. As I'm saying, I don't know. I find it as I'm flipping through. It's at the 84% mark in my Kindle. I know La doesn't have much time left. I want us together. We should be together when it happens. I mean, he knows that she's dying, and he's going, we should be with her in her final moments, and he doesn't want to give her up to this strange man. And I was bawling my eyes out when I first read this. I'm still getting emotional, 6 months after reading this. But the very first time, I'm going, oh, he loves La so much. And you're making the faces over there.
Yeah, that part was really I'm just thinking about it, really. It's and he was so devastated, but also he was kind of like, he accepted it in a way too, because he was like, she doesn't she doesn't have much time left when she finally goes off to bury her deep so the wolves or the animals don't get her. And I'm just like, I was devastated. I was like, no, she can't die.
I just sat man with my daughter in his arms. She is sick, dying, and I don't want her anywhere but with her mother and me. I mean, yeah. If this baby died, I was gonna be so sad. I mean, this book again pulls at your heartstrings. Every single scene, every single chapter, you're always feeling something. And that was one of those scenes. This is a very weird comparison, but in Cozy Mysteries, if you kill the animal, you're breaking one of the taboo. Like, that's taboo. You can't do that. You're breaking one of the codes. If this baby had died, I don't know what the code would have been, because I know there have been novels with miscarriages and children dying in the past. But I'm like, I don't know. But this book, for this one, if she had done that, she would have been breaking the code for me. I don't know what that code would have been, but it would have been broken.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the unforgivable sins of a writer is like killing the dog, killing children, that kind of thing. So
I would have been if she had killed this baby. This is a very weird thing. I really hope no one's taking GIFs and like taking them out of context, because we need to have the context of these sentences. But if she had killed this baby off after, I would have been, I wouldn't have been okay. I wouldn't have been okay. I read this all in like one sitting. The first time, like one night, I probably would have had to like put the book down and take a walk. I still would have read it. Don't get me wrong. I still would have kept it.
I'm like, God, I can't.
I think I should realize. Yeah.
Like, it's sad enough, but the thinking, like, if La would have died, I'm so emotional right now. But that book would have went in the freezer. I'm not joking. I'm like, it's on my Kindle. My Kindle would have went in the freezer. I'm like, no. Think about what you did. So very emotional. You're seeing a whole different side.
Well, that's again. I tried to film. I know. I think it was at least 2. There might have been another when I was doing probably a book, like some sort of referencing. I don't know what type of book. It wasn't a book haul. Maybe it was my top 5 recommendations or something. But every time I've tried to talk about this book, I get too emotional. It kind of helps that we're talking this out a little bit, and we're all kind of aware of this. Because when I was just sitting there, I love Shay. I was just crying. I'm sitting here alone in my apartment. I'm with them, looking up at me like, what's going on? But I was looking at the camera, like, I love Shay. But again, even I'm like tearing up saying that.
I know.
I don't read.
When I was crying in this book, my husband wasn't home, thank God. But there was one book that I was reading where I broke down. It wasn't like one glistening tear. I was sobbing. My heart was broken, and I immediately got up and put this book in the freezer. My husband is sitting next to me, and I'm shaking the couch. I'm sobbing so hard, and he's like, "Are you okay?" Like, he had no idea like what to even do with me. I was like, I'm fine. It's just this book.
There's I don't know if it's a little short story or a little poem, but it's like Date a Girl Who Reads. Have you ever read this?
No.
Data. And there's a line in it when it's 2 a.m. and she's crying from a book. Be there to hold her, and you just reminded me of that.
Make her a cup of tea. Is it that one?
It's You Should Date a Girl Who Reads, Date a Girl Who Reads, Date a Girl Who Spends her money on books instead of clothes, who has problems with closet space because she has too many books. It's on Goodreads. It's great. It's wonderful. There's so many likes on it, and it deserves all of the likes. But you just reminded me, because, yes, here it is. If you find a girl who reads, keep her close. When you find 2 a.m. clutching a book to her chest and weeping, make her a cup of tea and hold her. You may lose her for a couple of hours, but she'll always come back to you. She'll talk as if the characters in the book are real, because for a while, they always are. You just reminded me of that passage.
Yes, that's amazing. I've seen that on Pinterest, actually, and I'm just like, yes, 100% yes. Why don't guys get that?
I mean, it was 4 a.m. for me when I was sitting there weeping openly for the book. So the time is a little off in the poem, but it still works.
Yeah, I just love that. It's like, make her a cup of tea and hold her close. Like, yes, please hold me. I'm falling apart.
The entire passage is just beautiful, and it's just so well written. If you guys haven't read that, super short. I might actually try and tweet the link or some passages later, because it's great. I remember reading it, I think, for the first time when I was an undergrad, and I'm going, this is the definition of the type of relationship. And it just always stayed with me, because it's one of those, that's the ultimate relationship.
Yeah.
They understand you as a reader. They get it.
100%.
Yeah, like Ed, she is everything to me, and I have to be a good mate to her. But I mean, be a good mate to her and understand her reading love. Oh, I see the little faces.
Yes, the crying faces in the heart. That's how I felt about this book. I was crying, but then I loved it. I was crying, and then I
It's like tragically beautiful at the end.
It is.
And the other thing is, too, I did have a moment where I'm going, can this be considered a happily ever after? Because, again, it ends a certain way. But I'm going, yeah, but the way it's ending, and the way that their story's told, I'm going, yeah, it counts. I mean, it's not Romeo and Juliet where they killed each other, didn't get the whole life. I mean, not a romance. People who say romance are wrong. It's tragedy. Throwing that out there. It's not like that. I mean, the way that it plays out, I kind of had a moment, but I'm going, no, it works. It's within the genre standards. It goes. It works. Because even yeah.
The thing is, like, you're living there happily ever after. Because, like you said, in most romance, you get to, like, kiss, I love you, get married, happily for now. But then it ends. In this book, you are living their happily ever after. Where it would normally end, it goes past that. You live their whole life with them. You live their love story with them. And I just think that's so original and so sweet. You don't get that in a lot of romances, because you get that cut off, the happily for now or happily ever after, have it off age, and you can only just wonder about it. But in this one, you actually get it. The one that made me ugly cry was Making Faces by Amy Harmon. I'll have to look it up. I haven't heard of that.
I know. I love how we're going ugly cry books. In which case, be prepared for crying.
Sometimes you just need a good cry, you know?
No, I like my happily. I love the uplifting ones. You know. If I don't, I need to be aware of the fact. Like, you can't just all of a sudden become an ugly cry. I need to know going in it's an ugly cry and be emotionally prepared. Because I'm emotionally prepared and it takes a turn, it's traumatizing. You're going, right. I was not emotionally ready for this. So as long as you know it's a sobbing book, you're okay. At least I'm okay in that way. Like, you just gotta give me a little warning.
But this one you didn't know. You went in there and you read it, and then that ending happened, and you're like, what the heck happened?
It was a good what the heck happened.
But I did write that book down, Making Faces by Amy Harmon. I'll have to look it up.
I found the line from before for this. I've been swiping on my Kindle trying to find it. I don't mind. Faye makes noise at them both all of the time, and they make noises right back at her. I don't mind though. The constant sounds remind me that they are all here with me. They can make as much noise as they like as long as we stay together. I've been looking for that for a while and I finally found the line.
It's so beautiful. I can't, like, the writing is just amazing. So good. Just little quotes like that just steal your heart.
I was like, best executive decision we've ever made.
I threw my dog's toy and it hit the wall, so that was a little pop you heard. But yeah,
well,
that's
I really adjust in my chair. I think you hear like ding. So when things are live, you get the unedited version.
I threw with my left hand too. I'm not really a good thrower to begin with, and then my non-dominant hand. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Best executive decision we ever made, just to make this book a book that y'all had to read, because I'm glad I reread it. Because, yeah, I read it at the beginning of the year, but like I said, there was a lot of books in between there, so I'm glad I got to reread it. It's just beautiful. I love it so much more now.
I know. Next month we have another executive decision book, The Outlaw and the Lady by Lorraine Heath. Again, very different type of read, but I mean, this one will forever be in my top 3, but I do enjoy The Outlaw and the Lady a lot, though. So I'm excited for that executive decision as well.
I'm excited to read it because, seriously, when you were discussing it in our last live stream, I immediately went and bought it. I'm like, I have to get this book.
I've already read it like 2 or 3 times, and so I had never read Heath. I feel like I'm admitting something bad. I hadn't read her yet, and so when I met her at KissCon, I knew the name because I had seen her on romance writer lists and books on Goodreads, but I hadn't read her yet. And then I met her at KissCon, and she was such a wonderful woman. She was so sweet. She was so outgoing. She was such a pleasure to talk to. I'm going, I need to read her books. So as soon as I got back from KissCon, I bought her books. And I read that one, and then I had to go buy the rest of the series and read them immediately. And then I went back to that one, and then a couple weeks happened, and I was like, no, that's still a great read, and then I went back to it. So I mean, because I went and met her, I kind of fell in love with her. And that book is just, there's just something about it. It has the transcendence moments where she has the details that come back around. And every time I read it, I'm going, oh, you did that? What? What? I'm going, oh, so this was our July book. So our August book is going to be The Outlaw and the Lady. So, yeah. Because you're great.
So that's going to be our July book, but we're discussing it in August.
Yes.
August. What's the first Tuesday? The 6th. The 6th is the first Tuesday of August. So August 6th, we'll be talking about The Outlaw and the Lady.
And then September is the new moved the Great Big Romance read, the Red Bodice. They moved it, so instead of it having to be in December, it is now in September, because they figured with the holidays people were more likely to participate. And as I'm looking on my computer, because they just sent the flyer, and so ours was going to be in September. I already made the link for it, so we already have the event on YouTube. So the Great Romance read September is going to be by Olivia Waite, Waite, and it is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics, and it's a female book. So that's going to be our first one. Well, no, we had Hamilton's Battalion, which has some
male and female.
But it's going to be our first female read, so I'm excited. This is also a new book. It hasn't come out, like it's just coming out. I pre-ordered it and everything. So that is our September book. And we have the link for that has already been made. It is on YouTube. I can send it again. I just want to make sure you guys knew. So our next book, August, is The Outlaw and the Lady. And then September, it is going to be The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics. So we have our next 2 reads already accounted for. So you guys are going to be voting again for our October book, unless another executive decision has been made. So we do have those announcements. So if you want to read ahead, or you want to get these advanced, or put in a request for your library, you can. You can. And then next week.
Sorry, I'm looking it up on Goodreads.
And then next week is movie night, and we are watching A Cinderella Story, which is one of my all-time movies. I love Chad Michael Murray in that one, and Hilary Duff is so adorable. I remember I had the soundtrack and everything.
I know. I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm glad that that one went. I put Charlie's Angels in there because I really wanted to watch Charlie's Angels after we watched it, Set It Up. I love Lucy Liu, so I threw Charlie's Angels in there. But
I might have won after the new trailer aired. I'm gonna say if you had waited like a week or two, that might have been our movie.
Yeah, that might have been.
It might have won if we had waited a couple weeks to post that announcement.
Right. So yeah, next Tuesday we're doing the live tweet watch along of A Cinderella Story. It is on Netflix, so y'all, if you have Netflix, you can stream it that way. And then the third Tuesday, which is the 16th of August. No, July. Sorry, we're not in August. 16th of July. We're doing the self-published / indie authors recommendations. We're picking romance, so that will be on my channel.
Oh, geez. I wonder what one of our recommendations is going to be.
I have no idea. Who could we possibly talk about?
I think that's going to be a very long live stream because there's so many great self-published romances. Maria Zapata and The Wall of Winnipeg and Me might be one of mine.
Yeah. I know. I have a couple of. I was getting my list ready, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to narrow this down?
I know. I was putting together my list, and I'm going, I hope I have coffee beforehand. I hope it's going to be one of those, like I've been traveling, so I'm a little tired. So I'm really hoping that night I am just, ready to persevere because we got a lot to discuss.
Fire on all cylinders. Lady Gizmo, good night. Thank you so much for joining us. It was fun. I'm so glad you enjoyed the book. Yeah, I love this book so much, and I know Angela does too. So we love you guys, and it was great talking with you. And Latasha, I'm excited for the new Charlie's Angels too. I saw that trailer, and I'm just like, okay, I can be here for this.
I didn't know they were making another Charlie's Angels, and then I saw Kristen Stewart in it, and she was just killing it. So I'm happy. I'll watch it.
Right? The first, 10 seconds of the trailer is just all Kristen Stewart just kicking butt. And I'm like, okay, all right. I had no idea.
I know. I'm excited. I mean, it's kind of nice to see a movie like that. All female power. It's like, yeah, let's bring back Charlie's Angels. Like, let's keep doing this reboot. So I mean, just keep doing good with this. It works.
And I love Elizabeth Banks too. She's great.
Oh no. Yeah. There's this. See, we always find something to talk about. I know. Thank you. I know. We should probably wrap it up. We've been going for an hour and a half now. Lady Gizmo is saying goodnight. Jess is saying goodnight. And so we did our little reminders. So next Tuesday, Cinderella Story, to that, self-published romances. And that's on Nicole's channel. So that will be happening. And we've already announced the 2 books that are coming up. So any other announcements? Any other things we should mention?
I don't think so. I think that is it. I think we've hit all the bases. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about in this book. I'm glad we all really liked it. And then we've convinced some people to read the book.
We're converting you. We're converting people to reading Transcendence.
Right. Do it. And once you do read it, if you need someone to talk about, you can tell him, or me, or DM Romantics at Heart. We'll both get it. We could talk to you about it even after tonight. We're more than likely 100% going to be talking about it on the 16th. So.
I was going to say, considering the fact we've both reread this book multiple times, if you have any questions or any comments, we'll be there to answer. We're there to converse about this book. I will stay up late at night talking to you about this book, as we've demonstrated tonight. I will stay for this.
We will be there for you. Latasha's Book World, good night. Thank you so much. I think this is it. We're calling it a night, everyone. It's weird for me because the sun is still out and shining here in Arizona. So
well, it is. It's 9:30 over here. I'm falling. Yeah, I'm gonna be going to bed soon. But no, you guys are the best for chatting with us and hanging out. And again, I love this book. Being able to talk with everybody about it is just again, I've been traveling. I'm really tired. I'm like, I am here for this tonight. I was so looking forward to this. I'm like, I'm not missing this for the world. And you guys did not disappoint. And I love Nicole, and I'm happy that we get to do this.
I love you all. I love Angela. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, about just gushing and crying over this book. I mean, it was definitely kind of a different tone for the live stream tonight, but totally worth it. Like, we love you guys so much. So everyone have a great night, and we'll see you in the next one.
I'll see you Tuesday for tuning, and then the week after that on Nicole's channel. So we'll be chatting with you guys about more romances very, very soon. So thank you so much for joining us and for letting us cry. Enjoy all the love with Transcendence. Bye, everyone.